Welcome back, everybody, to the Omniverse Comics Guide podcast. We are your Omniverse Comics Guide guys. I'm Eric. That's my pal, Dave.
Hello.
Dave, how the hell are you?
I am hell. Dude, I hope you don't mind me ripping off your style tonight, because obviously we're both wearing hats.
Yeah, I have no problem you borrowing my style.
No?
You look good doing it. Not at all.
You like it?
I do. You look great.
It's
Wonderful hat.
It's actually the biggest sombrero I could find.
It looks great on you.
Oh, thank you.
You should get a plethora of sombreros to go along with my baseball caps. You'll be the
yeah.
sombrero guy. I'll be the baseball guy.
Oh, deal.
It'll be great.
We'll share.
Perfect. For everybody that's tuning in, watching with us on Twitch Live, we appreciate your company every week. All the usual suspects are here. We appreciate you. Everybody who's watching us on YouTube, thank you for joining us. Please hit that thumbs up and subscribe button. Leave us a comment if you like the show, or if there's something that we got wrong, we should do better. Let us know. We appreciate it. And of course, please don't forget to visit omniversecomics.guide, where all of our podcasts are there. Dave's wonderful reading orders are available. So if you want to do some deep dive into comic book crossovers and you don't know where to go next and you want the entire story, nobody makes a better reading order than my pal Dave.
Oh, you big flirt.
Yeah, you know it. Well, with a hat like that, how can I not?
Huh? You wouldn't believe the amount of attention I've been getting today.
I believe it.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it. Top 10 cosmic comics.
Yeah. What the hell is that?
It's a bit of a tongue twister, which I like that. But
yeah, me too.
I didn't realize that it is probably my favorite genre within the medium of comics, and not necessarily superheroes per se.
No.
Because as I was thinking about it, I'm like, there's so many different things that could fit into this subject.
Like what?
Well, I was thinking perhaps I could just pick Thanos stories, just Jim Starlin. But then I said, maybe we should do a top 10 Jim Starlin
That'd be sweet
episode.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things myself that I've left out that are very, very obvious must-read cosmic stories from every company, not just DC and Marvel. But we plan to get around to those because they kind of fall into maybe creator-based episodes, perhaps, right?
Mm-hmm.
We'll see. And definitely we're going to do like part 2 Cosmic Comics, seeing that this is our first, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's plenty to pick. And of course, I could say for myself, a lot of these are recommended reading, not so much like these are the definitive best. It's give this a try.
Yeah.
If you like cosmic stories.
If you've done what I've done, which I think you have, is I've chosen some from different publishers.
Yes.
So it's not just the big two or...
Yes, I tried to do the same. Cool. I'm excited to hear your list. Who's first this week?
I think it's my turn.
It's your turn. Well, when you come wearing a sombrero like that, you might as well go first.
I know, I shouldn't show off about it.
No.
But hey, it's the right color, I think. Is it yellow?
It is yellow.
Well, the villains in the story I'm about to tell you in my first choice are also yellow. Yes.
Really?
This is a story called Sinestro Corps War from DC Comics 2007. I wasn't going to go big event stuff for this tonight, but with DC choices, while there's quite a few things I wanted to try out fresh, and you know, there's loads and loads of stories to choose from that I've already read. Sinestro Corps War is the one that really cemented my affection for DC, because I'd read some Batman and I'd read 52 and I'd read this and that, but Green Lantern was a bit of a tryout. So the omnibus was going cheap, volume 1, and I liked it. But when it hit the Sinestro Corps War story, that was it. That was it for me. The hook was in. That story is insane. So the build-up is great as well, because we're looking at Green Lantern Sinestro Corps Special, Green Lantern 21 to 25, Green Lantern Corps 14 to 18, a whole bunch of other crossover issues as well, some one-shots, a Blue Beetle issue, and if you're not sure what order they go in, there's a very handy-dandy guide on a website that we may have mentioned previously called the Omniverse Comics .guide. Well, not the, lose the. But keep the dot.
Of course, you have a reading order for it.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
why not? But like, it's insane. I think I remember seeing some issues with Sinestro teaming up with other villains before, but not on a level like this. And I didn't really know much about Sinestro. I was kind of getting to know the character. And then next thing you know, he's got his own core and they're powered by fear. Unlike the Green Lanterns who are powered by will, Sinestro's lanterns are powered by fear. And even when the recruitment starts to happen before the story itself launches, one of the rings seeks out Batman, which he rejects. We've talked about Jeff Johns ad nauseum in 2024. Yes, this is a Jeff Johns written story. Also, Peter Tomasi and Patrick Gleason on Green Lantern Corps. So you've got some great creative teams there who are now doing all the Ghost Machine stuff. But this is just, the shockers just don't stop. But the highlight for me, apart from the page turning bit where, and do I spoil it, who are the core members of the Sinestro Corps? They're big villains. They're like really
Huge.
big villains.
Like,
one of them literally huge.
Huge, enormous.
Yeah.
It's so hard to not be hyperbolic about this story.
Yeah, it's impossible.
And I think the more invested you are in DC mythology, the bigger, like, it's interesting that you're bringing it up as something that hooked you into DC, having been someone, kind of on the periphery. Like, you knew it existed, but it wasn't your wheelhouse. And this was what did it for you. But it's so rich in DC lore.
Yes.
Where the more you're invested in it, the more, like, I had been a lapsed reader, and Green Lantern was like the hot title at the time.
Yeah.
In like 2007, 2006-ish, around there.
Yeah.
And these events were happening. So I jumped on the bandwagon. I liked it enough. I liked Green Lantern enough, but I didn't realize, like, this is the most important book in DC. That's how it
pretty
felt.
much is, isn't it? It's like it's ruling the cosmic side of things in the DC universe for that period of time. There are other events going on, and when you even have Infinite Crisis happening, you've got the Rann-Thanagar War. It's still not big enough for this. It's just so epic in scale. So we've had Hal back in the Green Lantern Rebirth mini. He's got his own series again. We're hitting issue 21 now. What's happening? Boom! Literally like the start of an Omniverse episode. But the thing is, lanterns can't kill, whereas these fear lanterns will.
Yeah.
And that's the first time they attack them, you see all these rings flying around. All these Green Lantern rings are trying to find new owners, and that's how they kind of symbolize the slaughter of the Green Lantern Corps, a large part of it. It's a massacre, and it's the way it's done with all these Ring Nebula sector looking for a new owner, mate. Careful, owner. One dead owner. I was a bit of a DC cynic to a degree. I'd convinced myself I didn't like DC as a long-running Marvel fan. But this was like, no, I need more. I need this. I need to finish this series. And now I wasn't going to read Green Lantern Corps because I thought, oh, come on. Green Lantern sounds ridiculous enough. Green Lantern Corps. Loved it even more. So, like, between the two titles and events like this, and even if some people are going, like, I don't really like crossovers, the payoff here is too big. I mean, Omega Bread just said the part with the ring seeking out new bearers was so masterfully done, and that was seriously the selling point. I remember talking to someone I know, a friend of mine, who doesn't read comics. Well, he does a little bit, and I told him about that scene, and he's just going, "Whoa!" It's crazy the way it's done. What's your numero uno?
I've talked about this book before a couple years ago. It made my list for next week's or the next incoming that we're going to be doing, but I might just spoil it because I feel that it's deserving of a mention in the cosmics since we're going Omniverse Cosmic.
Mm-hmm.
And I realize I don't talk too much about Star Wars. I am a Star Wars fan, but this is my Star Wars: The Old Republic Legends, which was originally published, I believe, through Dark Horse. And when Disney got the rights and Marvel got the rights back, this is the Jackson Miller run of Star Wars: The Old Republic. And I think it is somewhat based around the video games of that time.
Maybe.
Perhaps like a tie-in, could be. Doesn't matter. I'm going to read just the back of the book. Here's the cover of it. This is going to be coming out in March. A reissuing of it, and it's also been re-released in Epic Collections. Well worth it. It's well worth it. But it takes place thousands of years before the Star Wars that people may be familiar with through the films.
Yeah.
So it follows a character, Zane Carrick, He's a Padawan who's been framed for a murder of other Padawans. And that's where the story begins. It starts off with a huge mystery, conspiracy, and this guy has to be a fugitive on the run. And while he's on the run, he finds himself in all these different planets, different mix-ups, different cosmic events. It culminates between an honest, like a real war between like the Jedi and the Mandalorians. Like it
Oh,
really explores those mythologies
oh,
from way back when they were at full strength. Because the way we always hear about them in Star Wars lore, it's like the once upon a time they were this group of
yeah.
people. Whereas this one, it's like full bore. This is them at their full power.
Is the technology the same? Do they have droids and stuff, or is it
Yeah.
kind of towed down in some way so it doesn't seem as if they've been stuck in the same technology for
Y-
thousands of years?
You know what? That's an interesting observation. I didn't really pay attention to the fact that the technology, because they're spacefaring people. They're still in ships. They're still got their warp speeds and all that kind of stuff. So
Okay.
I didn't really take note of the fact that this is 1,000 years before, that they're a little more archaic. No, they're still, what you call it.
Playing holographic chess?
Yeah, all of that kind of stuff is
Right.
still around.
Right.
Yeah. But this is no longer quote unquote continuity,
Mm.
which makes it even more enjoyable. Just read the book for what it is. Don't worry about all the Star Wars. This doesn't count. But who cares? It's a great book.
Yeah. Is it 50 issues or something?
Yeah,
50.
it's all here. All fit like let me make sure. Yeah, 50 issues.
Huh.
It's just like a perfect cosmic Star Wars. And if you don't like Star Wars, that's okay too. Because I mean, you got John Jackson Miller
Yeah.
is the writer, Brian Ching, Travel Foreman, Dustin Weaver,
Oh.
Scott Hepburn on
What?
art. Name a few. Yeah,
Oh my god.
yeah. It's got good. It's good. Each issue also has extra content. It's a worthwhile Omni. It's a
Damn.
really good series.
I had no
I
idea.
wanted to give some shine to Star Wars because I realized I don't often mention it. I haven't read too much Star Wars comics to mention it, but this was one where it was a blind buy. It was one I had kind of heard good things about, that it was a hidden gem. You know how much I like my hidden
Oh,
gems.
don't you just.
But yeah, it's a ton of fun, and I remember feeling very satisfying when I got to the end after
Huh.
spending all that time with the characters. You're number two. Go for
My
it.
number two is I've got it in my hands. This is Sentient. It's not exactly an out of the blue.
Ooh, you mentioned that before. I remember this one. Yes, I
Oh,
have this book.
I
It's
wasn't
really good.
sure if
Great
you
book.
like
No,
did I
yeah.
take one from you? So Sentient, it's 2019 six-issue miniseries from Jeff Lemire and Gabrielle Walter. It's from TKO Studios, and it's it probably doesn't do it. It doesn't. The elevator pitch could be Lord of the Flies meets 2001, but it's not really that even. I mean, I think the pace in this book is great. That's what works so well in it. The people of Earth have started to colonize in space. You're not entirely sure where. That level of detail isn't there. It almost doesn't matter. But on the way, there's a point where they lose communications with both Earth and the colony for about a year. And just before they hit, like the way he sets it up, he explains that there's war in the colonies where they don't want any more people from Earth coming, and Earth is like in the shit. It's really going to pieces. So they need to get people off, but those people don't want any more people. So there's another ship coming, and these the colonists, some of these kind of anti-Earth colonists, they're all over the place. They're on some of these ships, it turns out. So they go into the dark zone where they can't have any communication, and then there seem to be some infiltrators among them on this ship. And it's not long before. I mean, it's written on the back of the book, basically, so it is a bit of a spoiler here. Get ready. But the adults all die. So all that's left on this ship are the kids. So what happens next? And my favorite thing about this thing, because like you're looking at like the AI side of it, you're going, oh, what's happened to this AI? It seems like it's almost got human elements where it seems to be rethinking how it's phrasing things. Plus, the kids blame one of their own because his parent was involved in the incident. So
Right.
it's very fractious on the ship. And these are children. Like, how are they dealing with this? And how are they dealing with this loss? And how do they deal with the carnage that exists on there? And and what happens when they go further into space, and what happens if they encounter something. 6 issues, seriously atmospheric, incredibly well told. I mean, this one did win awards, so it's not like it's completely left field. But I think it's one of those things that has kind of been forgotten since then. It may well be on people's lists, and they've gone, "Oh, I need to get to that at some point." Get to it. I gave this 5 stars when I read it, and I don't give out them 5 stars too easy.
Not too easy. You're right. Nice pick. I am going to go with a left field one, perhaps. I'm currently reading this. I'm halfway through.
Okay. Dangerous moves.
Have you heard of Crossgen Comics, Dave?
Yeah.
I'm talking about Sigil.
I really wanted to get that.
I've never read any Crossgen before.
Neither have I.
The only place that I've really gotten into some detailed Crossgen conversation is on Comic Shenanigans with my pal Adam Chapman. He's had a couple Crossgen creators on there to talk strictly about that stuff, which I'm completely ignorant to. But this was my first step into that realm. I always find it very exciting when creators band together and try to create a new comic book universe, whether it's Crossgen, Valiant, Ghost Machine. This book has starts with Barbara Kessel writing the first 11 issues, taken over by Mark Waid for the next 10. And now I'm at Chuck Dixon. The artists have been Scott Eaton, Paul Pelletier showed up for
oh man, I need this book.
Just for not an episode, just for an issue, not a whole run.
I don't care.
So it's basically the simple premise of it is this character Sam Adel Ray. The story basically begins balls to the walls in the middle of action. Something occurs where he's been given this sigil onto his chest, this marker. It's almost like an Iron Fist type of mark on the chest. His character isn't anywhere near a martial artist expert, but he looks, if you look at it, like he's got the sigil on his chest burnt in, and his fists are always like with power in them.
Oh.
And he's able to control inorganic matter. And he's just figuring out this power that he's been given. But he's got a cargo ship that has cargo on it that other planets and other mercenaries are tracking, and there's a reward for it. And he doesn't even know what it is. So people are hot on his tail. What he's got on his ship is a wife of one of the rulers of one of these planets who snuck onto his ship. So she's got an entire planet on her tail. And then there's this weapon of mass destruction that apparently his ship is carrying, which is him. So everyone is also trying to track him.
Okay.
Seeing what's going on. But this sigil is something that has affected numerous people throughout history and different planets. It's like this marker, this cosmic marker that certain people get.
Yeah.
And so I'm still figuring out all of this history and his team. It's almost like a ragtag Guardians of the Galaxy. People from different planets, different technology, some mystery behind, like, who are you? Where are you from? Like, how did you even get involved with us? But you're part of our team now, so we got to just keep it moving.
Okay.
And there's a bit of time travel that's been thrown into it. It's a whole new universe trying to realize itself, which is part of the fun.
My number 3 is a 44. So this is Letter 44. This is from Oni Press, and it's a 35-issue series by Charles Soule, Alberto Albuquerque on the art. It came out between 2013 and 2017. It was 6 trade paperbacks. You can get it in these fancy schmancy deluxe editions, 3 of them.
And I think they got a compendium coming out.
There was a compendium announced a couple of years ago, and it disappeared a year or 2 years ago. But it's coming out in July.
Yes, I pre-ordered it.
You did? Brilliant.
Yes.
Brilliant. I really hope you like it. I loved this. I genuinely loved this. So, I mean, there was something in the news recently about Donald Trump finding the letter from Joe Biden in the drawer. And I didn't realize until reading this book that was a tradition for the previous president to leave a letter for the new incoming president. And that's what this is. So President 44 leaves a letter for the 45th president, so that's letter 44. In the letter, he tells him the reason why his term in office was so bad was because they basically put so much money into the space program because they found out there were aliens in our solar system. And they put tons of money into going out there and investigating it. It's a 7-year journey, so of course that's longer than a term. Now, President 45 is going to have to decide what he's going to do. Do they continue with this program? What happens if they find out it's aliens? Do they tell the public? He's like not the only person who knows, obviously, but he's just read this, and in the position he's in, he's got some decisions to make. So what happens? What happens when he does? Does he tell humanity? The population.
When was this book? When was this book made?
2013 to 2017. Is it an allegory?
Okay.
For something.
Okay, so yeah. Well, I was just wondering because it wasn't going to be, if it was written after Trump was elected as 45th. I was wondering if it was going to be like some sort of like, what if this guy is the one who like make it about him? I wasn't sure if it was about him in the presidential seat, but that would be hilarious if he got a letter. Hey, there's a space program.
Yeah. Oh God.
That guy of all people.
Oh God.
We're not going to space. Forget about it. Do they have hotels?
I've never heard you do that impression before.
Oh, that'd be great if he got that letter.
Oh man.
Don't get me started, Dave.
I won't. I'll try not to. But yeah, so that's it's left to 44. Like I say, 35 issues. It's great because I mean, in a series of that kind of length, you've got an ending coming, but you've got plenty of room for a build up because of course then you've got the president, you've got the previous president, you've got all the people in that cabinet to deal with. So there is some Earthbound stuff. Like in my previous choice, there's some Earthbound stuff, but there's also a lot of Spacebound stuff. Yes, of course, there's a whole crew heading towards this alien craft in space, and you're kind of following their situations as well. I mean, it would be a bit of a damp squib if there were no aliens. So what happens when they meet them?
Oh, yeah. I'm excited. I'm excited for this book.
It's a great book.
Nice.
This week, we're going to take a look at what's old to the Omniverse, in particular, our podcast. So these are our top 5 most popular podcasts from the last month. At number 5, we've got Jeff Johns on Ghost Machine with our own resident interviewer, Eric Erickson. At number 4, we've got Incoming, February 2025. It's a good month. Check it out. Check this out. Number 3, Eric's interview with Jim Shooter. And number 2, it's our top 20 collected editions, part 2. That's 2. And number 1, top 20 comic book collected editions, part 1. Numbers 20 to 11.
And Marvel and DC should be paying us now.
Oh, screw those.
My next pick, Dave. This is, for me, as cosmic can get, and that is Divinity. Now, since these books are being republished and put back out there, if there is a copy of Divinity, especially the complete trilogy, deluxe edition, pick up this book. It's Matt Kindt, Jeff Lemire, Trevor Hairsine, Clayton Crane. But the main, there's 3 miniseries, 4 issues each, and it follows these 3 astronauts, Russian astronauts, in between the end of World War II and before the Americans go to space. This is happening in that time, that the 50s, right. 49 to 50. And there's this secret space program where Russian government sends an astronaut, star student, the right person, all of that stuff, orphan, no family to be held back from. It's a 30-year mission. And they're letting them know, like, we're preparing you. You're going for 30 years. And you're going to go to as far as we possibly can send you into space to find the literal unknown. Like, find in the New Gods, they would call it, the anti-life equation or the source, like that moment. We're trying to send you there. So there's 3 miniseries, and each miniseries follows one of the people who went on this mission.
Oh.
Almost like a Fantastic Four, but there's 3 of them in this case. And you think that the story is about, I think his name is Abram Adams. I remember it was
alliterative.
Yes, exactly. And you think it's just about him that they've sent, but there's a moment in the story where you realize that he had partners with him. He's just the first one to come back to Earth. He figures out, I found the moment, I'm going to go back home. But the power, the cosmic power that he receives is almost like a Dr. Manhattan, where you traverse space and time. When he confronts Unity, which is like the Avengers of
Universe,
the Valiant
yeah.
universe, which includes Ninjak, Exo Man of War, Eternal Warrior, and Livewire.
Yeah.
All very, very interesting power sets and characters, right? Great team.
Yeah.
Within 30 seconds, he makes them experience 30 years. There's a moment where they have to realize we're dealing with a different level. After 4 issues, you see his story, and then I didn't want to go into all 12 issues of all the other 3 characters because try the first 4, see if you like it. Matt Kent, Trevor Hairsine, really, really interesting story.
So I'm gonna go with a Marvel choice. And I was very tempted to go with some of the big event stuff because they've got loads of big cosmic events that are fantastic. Incidentally, if you like cosmic Marvel stuff, hop on omniversecomics.guide. There are 2 entries for Marvel Cosmic Reading Order, which is all their cosmic stuff from a certain period, which mostly centers around Annihilation, Annihilation Conquest, War of Kings, and the Thanos Imperative, but all the other space-based stories that take place around those 2, including Planet Hulk and everything else. So it shows you how it all fits together, all in order. But I'm not choosing something from that period tonight. I'm going back to my favourite period of all time. It's a little, slightly, it's not obscure, but it's an Avengers story called The War to End All Skrulls. It's from Avengers 255 to 261 and Annual 14. Also ties into Fantastic Four Annual 19.
Oh, yes.
And Amazing Spider-Man 269 to 270. So this is about the Avengers dealing with some stuff on Earth, and while they're doing it, they send Captain Marvel, the new Captain Marvel, that's Monica Rambeau. They send her up into space to just check on Sanctuary 2, which is Thanos' old space station. So up she goes, and she finds a bunch of space pirates. They're led by this female blue-skinned space pirate called Nebula. She's taking advantage of a situation that's happened with the Skrulls. So in Fantastic Four 257, Galactus consumes the Skrull throne world. It's a real key moment for the Marvel Universe. So many other stories spin out of that one, including Secret Invasion. You know, its roots are in that story. This is one of the first kind of bigger storylines that spins out of it. It's about Nebula, whoever she is, no one knows who she is, where she comes from, and it's about her trying to manipulate things so she can take over the Skrulls. She wants to become ruler of the Skrulls. It's written by Roger Stern. It's drawn by Big John Buscema, and the Fantastic Four Annual, that's written and drawn by John Byrne. So you've got some of the biggest names of the 80s in this storyline.
This is more famously now collected in the Avengers Legacy of Thanos is how it's titled.
Yes, exactly. That's the one.
And I'm just looking at the spine of it on my shelf. You got Stern, Byrne, and Buscema. Like you mentioned them, but what a lineup.
What an amazing lineup. And that's the thing, even when the story ends, so you have this great epic tale in space that kind of dips into Amazing Spider-Man somehow, with Firelord going to try and buy pizza. A Herald of Galactus coming to Earth to try and get pizza and having a fight with Spider-Man. What? And then it goes back up into space. And even when you get to like the big crescendo of that story, or you think you are, there's a whole other story that happens at the same time that crosses over the 2 Avengers annuals, and they kind of have a repeat of what's in the pages. But it shows the story from the two different angles. And because they're dealing with Skrulls, of course they're going to assume what are the odds of them running into each other, right? These have got to be Skrulls. But even then, you've also got the Beyonders showing up because there are tie-ins to Secret Wars 2 in there, where there's funky, big-shouldered space outfit where he wants to join the Avengers. I love this run of Avengers, man. But it's so cool as a cosmic story, a space-based story.
Yes, absolutely. Great pick. My number 4. I love this story. Read it numerous times. There's been a animated adaptation of this as well, which I like quite a bit. It is Jeff Loeb, Michael Turner's Batman and Superman, Supergirl, and it follows immediately after the public storyline, where it's the first 6 issues of the Superman and Batman, or the Batman Superman series. Jeff Loeb, Ed McGuinness launched it, and every 6 issues feels like an event comic. Like it's just so much fun. The art, it's meant to sell toys.
Yeah.
Like it just, everyone feels like it's just a ton of fun. So the first series sets up this kryptonite meteorite is headed to Earth. We're blaming Superman for this. It's going to destroy the planet if we don't do something about it, right? Uh-huh. It's an old trope. But in the sequel to the story, what came along with that kryptonite meteorite was a rocket ship of Kryptonian origin, and in it is Kara Zor-El. the long lost first cousin of Superman. But now we're bringing back a major part of the Superman family, adding characters to his life. And why this fits into Cosmic, she has a prolonged stay at the Mascara, being trained by the Amazons during this time.
Oh,
And then because of her power, because of her Kryptonian heritage, she draws the attention of Apocalypse and Darkseid.
oh, bloody hell! All right.
Superman is blaming Superman is blaming Wonder Woman for the fact that Darkseid has shown interest and that Kara wasn't protected. They need to get some help to get to Apocalypse. Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman go to Apocalypse. You got Big Barda, Wonder Woman fighting the Furies. Superman dying to kick somebody's ass because they took his last family member that he's trying to convince Batman that she isn't a threat. Like he's fighting his friends to be like, this is my family, you know?
Uh-huh.
And now Darkseid has her. And then you've got Batman fighting the Hounds of Apocalypse with whatever armor he could have taken from Mr. Miracle to be able to do it.
Okay.
Okay?
It's all the toys, isn't it?
It's all the toys. It is what it sounds like. It's a cartoon episode of epic proportions.
Yeah.
Fight scenes are incredible. Like I was thinking when I read this, I'm like, this could definitely be a fight scene episode selection. It's a cool book.
Yeah.
Great fight scenes. Right guy to, Superman punching Darkseid in the face. Kind of Michael Turner doing it. He's got the beefcake style with the ladies on the mascara. Like it's good.
Was it cheesecake? No, they beefcake because they're
sorry, cheesecake.
chunkier.
Thank you, cheesecake. You got it. Yeah. So, it's an oldie, but again, all things that were very, very important to DC mythology during that decade, that play a big part in what is Infinite Crisis and all these other stories that follow after. Now you've got another Kryptonian on the board.
Actual Kryptonian.
Actual Kryptonian on the board, right? So, yeah.
Wow.
Oldie but a goodie.
Still haven't read it, but I'm looking forward to it. I've got the two Omnis. I'm desperate to get to that point, but still haven't read Superman, Batman, any of it yet. Okay, you ready for my last?
Yes.
I'm not. Now I've got it. Right, we're going to end on something a lot of people probably won't have heard of. In fact, they probably won't even have heard the thing that this is based on. That's how obscure we're going here. So, Dark Horse used to have a line called Comics Greatest World, rather than World's Greatest Comics. See what they did there? Comics Greatest World, and it was their own superhero line. I think it was 90s. A lot of people don't know these books existed. I didn't really know much about them until more recently, and I started kind of investigating them, but I've still not read any of those. This is called Catalyst Comics, with an X. Catalyst Comics. It's by Joe Casey. The art's by Dan McDade, Paul Mabry, and Ulysses Farinas. I'm sorry if I've absolutely slaughterized anyone's names there. Apparently it's a re-envisioning of Dark Horse's superhero line. Like I say, I didn't know until I started looking into it afterwards. Because I was thinking, it feels like there's a history here. Is there a history here? So I kind of had to look into it. So you don't have to know the history. You can treat it as a standalone. 4 out of my 5 choices tonight have some Earth-based elements to them at least. And this is one of the 4. So it's an anthology of sorts. So it's a 9-issue series. It originally came out in 2013. Joe Casey, who's done a lot of work for Marvel, including Uncanny X-Men, Ultimate Fantastic Four, so on and so forth. He's taken 3 of these characters. So it's Frank Titan Wells, Amazing Grace, and the Agents of Change. And he's given them their own stories that spin out of the first issue. So the first issue tells one story, and then it becomes an anthology book. And then it starts to come together at the end. But there is a big cosmic element to this. So one of the stories in particular, which is the one featuring Amazing Grace, that's got some crazy stuff. Now, there's so much going on in this and so many big concepts. For me to even try and explain it won't do it any justice. It's like, what the hell am I... And there were times I'm going, what's going on? This is nuts. It is a crazy series. It's just a shameless bombardment of ideas. It almost feels like, if you're a fan of Grant Morrison and you've read everything, try Catalyst Comics. I am going to read the blurb because no words I say will make any lick of sense. But straight from the glory of comics' greatest world, Frank Titan Wells, Amazing Grace, and the Agents of Change are back, baby. But you've never seen them like this. Superstar writer Joe Casey, along with the widest array of artistic talent, this side of the Renaissance gives superhero comics a back-alley facelift as these very different champions confront cosmic threats, personal demons, superheroes' role as global activists, an alien love invasion, and the strangest virtual reality you've ever experienced, but not before they face the end of the world as we know it. Bizarreness! And you know I love a bit of bizarreness. It's a nice, thick enough book, 9 issues, and it's just an insane ride. And it feels like a nice little indie superhero series. So no holds barred. You don't know what to expect. It's not a big name bunch of characters that you think like, well, they're gonna be fine. You don't know what's gonna happen, and I love that kind of thing. I like not knowing what's gonna happen next.
Nice.
So Catalyst Comics.
Nice. Always with the left field pick that shocks me. I like it. Never heard of it.
Thank
Okay,
you.
number 5. This one is a classic. I think most people will admit that if you've read these first, I think 11 issues of this series, Jason Aaron Thor, God Butcher, God Bomb,
Ooh.
Esad Ribic on the art. It's hard to top certain Thor runs. Like, for me, Walt Simonson is the standard.
Same.
But Jason Aaron on Thor, he really carved out a little lane for himself in the God Butcher story. It's so unfortunate that they completely
butchered it.
There's a gravitas to it.
Yeah.
And it's not a
massively.
comedy.
No.
Right? And as far as Cosmic goes, he scratches all of those itches. Like, he could go to different planets. He could be earthbound. He's fighting monsters. He could be fighting
Other
gods.
dimensions, like all sorts.
Everything. Yeah, exactly. But in this one, it's a team-up book with himself. He's got to find a way to help himself defeat this God Butcher who, Gore the God Butcher in this book, has a vendetta against the pantheon of gods that are supposed to have certain roles that take care of those who pray to them.
Yeah.
Right? We believe in you. You didn't answer. I got a vendetta. Where were you? Where we felt we had a drought. We had this happen. And you did nothing. All you had to do was make it rain, essentially.
Yeah.
And so he's on this cosmic mission, this Gore the God Butcher, to just end them all.
Yeah.
Kill them. Find a way to kill these gods. And Thor is on the list. And Thor, the only way that he can muster up the strength to be able to stop this threat at this point in time is team up with different versions of himself. I mean, it's on the cover of the comics, but what a cosmic event that would be.
That's a really good choice, man.
It was. I mean, I wanted to pick Walt Simonson, something from that series. I'll save it for later. Just the whole thing. But this one is just one of those stories where you don't forget this story when it comes to Thor. But as far as it being a cosmic story, I'm like, wait a second.
It's really cosmic.
It's very cosmic.
Yeah.
Right.
And
especially
epic.
And epic, yeah. And that's the thing I like about Thor as the character, because he's got that Lord of the Rings sort of aspect to him, where you could be fighting, Sauron, like an ancient enemy,
yeah,
like Surtur, where this is eons.
I like the way you say Surtur. Say it again.
How are you supposed to Surtur? Surtur. Is it better if I say Surtur? Whenever Thor fights Surtur,
this is so weird.
With his hammer, Mjolnir. No,
that's what we call it here, mate. Mjolnir.
Mjolnir. But yes,
it's rhyming slang for something, but I can't figure out what.
The Jason Aaron Thor, as far as a cosmic story goes, is as cosmic as it gets. But it starts off with literally a bang, a boom, a god bomb, if you will.
Yeah.
Aha. So if you haven't read it, check it out.
Yeah.
The Omnis are definitely worth the investment. Similar to what I said about the Green Lanterns, there's a lot to read, but it's pretty much all good.
Yeah.
The Jason Aaron stuff, even when it branches off to another character, Lady Thor as they called her, but still a solid run. But I think that it starts off the best stuff is at the beginning, and that's not to say it did Peter. No, it's good all the way through, but this first 10, 12 issues is magic.
Yeah, it is magic, literally, really. Because it also this storyline introduces Null, the Venom character, though you don't really realize it yet.
Yes, you're right. You're right. So, Jason Aaron's Thor run is definitely one worth checking out. God Bomb, Cosmic Story, 2 thumbs up.
3 thumbs up.
Yeah.
I'm gonna lift another one. I swear it's my thumb.
I believe you. It's his big toe. I could do
cancelled again.
A top 10 Cosmic episode every 4 months. I love Cosmic stories.
You do, don't you?
I do. I really do. Because we haven't even touched on Fantastic Four.
No, nearly did. I nearly did,
and please don't. The fact that they're not on the list, it has nothing to do with the fact that we don't think it's deserving. It's just there's so much to pick.
There's so much to pick, and there was some stuff on here with characters that you wouldn't even expect that I was close to picking because people don't remember those stories. So it's a nice selection of stories from different companies that are all worth the shot. Definitely worth the shot. Worth picking up. Some epic stuff in there. Some smaller scale stuff in there. So hopefully we've given you a bit of a mix to pick from.
Yes. And I'm pretty sure tonight's picks, they're all pretty safe bets.
Yeah.
I think so. Nice.
I think so, mate.
All right. Yeah, we're thinking about doing a full Fantastic Four episode, so that's why we're saving some picks.
Yeah.
It's in the works. All right. We did it again, Dave. Another one. This was fun.
Oh, yeah.
I enjoy it very much. Everybody that's watching on Twitch, thank you for hanging out with us.
Thank you.
Tuning in on YouTube. We appreciate it. Give us a thumbs up, a rate, subscribe, all that good stuff. We appreciate it. On any other platform that you're listening to the podcast, thank you for hanging out with us. Keep coming back. Let's have a good time. Yeah. Join us on the Twitch live. And don't forget to visit us at omniversecomics.guide.
Omniversecomics.guide.
That's the one. All right. Anything else, Dave, before we leave?
No, other than we love you very much and thank you for all of your support and for watching.
That's right. Dave, bid you adieu. I love you, buddy.
Adieu, dude.
Bye-bye, everybody. Thank you for coming out.